Okay, platypuses, today in phonics we're going to be adding the es suffix to make the third person singular of verbs. Now you might think, oh my goodness, that's a bit tricky. I'm not sure what it is, but don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you. Before I do that, I want you to think about this question. What is a verb? Is it a person, place, thing or object, or is it a doing word, an action? So have a think about it before I show you the answer. Okay, let's see if you were right. Okay, so a verb is a doing word. It's an action. So, for example, run is a verb. You can do it. You can act it out. It is an action. Sing is a verb. It is a doing word. You can actually do it. It's an action. Okay, so a verb is a doing word. It's an action. This is important to know this today for your learning. Right, so we're going to be thinking about the third person singular, and we're just going to recap and adding the s and es suffix. So the rules that we learnt before about adding plurals, making nouns into plurals, is the same for adding the e and the s and the es to verbs. So you might think, oh, what does it mean third person singular? I'm going to show you an example. So if you have a look at these couple of sentences, it says, they say, I run in the playground, and the second one says, he runs in the playground. Now, the verb in these sentences are, the verb is run, okay? So the first sentence is in the first person. It's talking about yourself. So I, the first person is when you use I or we. Now, the third person is when you're talking about somebody else. So it could be he or she or it or they. So in this sentence, we're talking about he. So he runs in the playground. Can you see how the verb has changed? Instead of saying so he run in the playground, we need to say he runs in the playground. So it's exactly the same rule as when we were changing nouns into plurals. The second sentence, I fix my car. Fix is the verb. This one is in the first person. We're talking about I, yourself. Okay, and the second sentence is the third person. We're talking about she, so somebody else. So she fixes her car. Can you see what's happened to the word fix? Fix ends in a sound, okay? It's a hissing sound. So we need to add es. So it's exactly the same rule as what we learned when we were changing nouns into plurals. Now, we're going to now think more about what we need to do when words end in y. So we've already looked at nouns ending in y and how they change. I want you to have a look at these sentences here that have verbs and think about how the verbs change in these sentences. The verbs are in green. So I cry at sad films. Mum cries at sad films. I is in the first person. Mum is in the third person. It's talking about somebody else. So I try to learn my spellings. That's the first person. Lucy tries to learn her spellings. That's in the third person. Okay, we're talking about somebody else. Can you see what's happened to the verbs in those sentences? What is the rule? Have a think about it. Pause the video if you need to before I show you on the next slide. Okay, so the third person singular, adding either s or es. What is the rule? So if you have a consonant and a y, you change the y to an I and add es. If it is a vowel, ends in a vowel and a y, you just add s. Now, a reminder that the vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. Okay? The consonants are all the other letters in the alphabet. So, for instance, B, C, D, F. So, all the other letters. Okay? So, can you see what happened here in these sentences? Cry becomes cries, and we've changed the Y to an I and added ES, okay? R is a consonant and then you've got a Y, okay? Try, we've changed the Y to an I and added ES. R again is a consonant, and then we've just added ES. Okay, so that rule is exactly the same as it is for when we're changing nouns. Right, I have got an activity for you to do now. So I want you to look at these verbs and can you change the spelling to match the rule we have just learned? Okay, think about, does it end in a consonant and a Y, or does it end in a vowel and a Y? Okay, so pause the video, write these down in your book, so change them into the third person. Okay, so pause the video. Okay, how did you get on? I'm going to show the answers. So we can see here that we've got all the answers. We've got fly, changes to flies, try, goes to tries, reply, changes to replies, copy, changes to copies, carry, changes to carries, cry, changes to cries, dry, changes to dries, marry, changes to marries. So these have changed from the first person to the third person if we were using these in a sentence. Okay, so I hope you understood that well. Now, just for a recap, there is a really good game that you could play on Spelling Play. It's called Third Person Pirates. Okay, there are some games on there. There's a game on there that you can actually play, and it also goes over the rules as well. So have a go at that if you get time.